From across time and space and throughout the multiverse, listen as two generations of comic book readers come together to discuss a single character or event that shaped pop culture as we know it. Let Your Geek Sideshow presents Then and Now with Susan and Kitty. Hey everyone, it's Susan.
And it's Kitty.
And today we're clowning around and talking about the Maid of Mischief herself, the clown princess of Gotham City. The clown princess of crime in Gotham City. Wow, I can't talk today.
Her names are a little too much.
I know. Come on. From studying psychology to being just kind of a psycho, her life was forever changed at Arkham Asylum when she met the Joker.
Dun, dun, dun.
Bum, 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 bum. Ha ha. She's gone from Gotham City Sirens to the Suicide Squad, and she's been trying to leave her past as a supervillain behind. So let's rev up today's discussion.
Vroom, vroom.
It's Harley Quinn Then and Now.
I mean, we're already laughing, so that's a good sign.
I know. I mean, how much fun is this character? And to be able to talk about her evolution. And
I was secretly hoping you'd do that all in her like New York accent. But
I can't do her voice.
Oh, okay.
I really wish I could.
We need to get Tara We Arlene Sorkin.
Yeah, we can totally get them all in. But like, I can't do that voice because like I can't go up that high. I've tried. Like I can be like. I'm not. Eventually, maybe I'll slip into it throughout.
Just call him Mr. J.
Mr. J.
I was gonna say, who among us has not tried to do Harley Quinn's voice at some point?
I totally have tried to do Harley Quinn's voice, but I really, really can't. So maybe I'll try at some point during this podcast, and y'all can laugh at me from the comfort of your own home, but or wherever you listen to podcasts, maybe in the car. But right now, we're just going to talk Harley. So
absolutely.
One of my favorite things about this character is that, like, we're talking then and now, right? Mm-hmm. But for me, like, this is like my lifetime. Like, I've seen the evolution of Harley in the same way I've seen, like her, she was introduced in Batman the Animated Series, which happened when I was a kid. And like now throughout all of her comics and her video games and now movies, like it's been really, really cool to watch this character evolve from just like Joker's girlfriend. Yeah, Joker's favor, like literally to, you know, Margot Robbie.
I know. Wow. And it's cool because she's a quintessential comic book character, but she debuted as an animated character.
She was created for the animated show.
So she
was supposed to be a one-off character in one episode.
Oh, that's just funny.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing is because I can't talk today. I'm just so excited to talk about Harley. She's like such a cool character. But I got the chance to go to a Batman the Animated Series panel at Comic-Con a few years ago that had like, you know, Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and Kevin Conroy and like all the essentials when we were talking about Batman the Animated Series. And they told the story about how apparently Harley was just supposed to be a one-off character. And like what? We're talking how many years later? How old are you? No, I'm kidding.
Whoa.
Like 25 years later, she's still around. She's still a fan favorite.
Not only is she still around, she has transcended like all the checkpoints for like a media character, like video games, comics, animation, film.
Yeah,
film most recently.
I know. It's been really, really awesome to watch a character that I just knew as like this funny girl, like evolve into who she's become. Like her own, she's her own character now. She's had her own solo series in comics several times.
Oh yeah,
and she's had so many like just classic writers and artists like take her on. Like the amount of Harley Quinn you can see everywhere. Like I have a Harley Quinn cosplay. People have taken to her.
She is one of like the fan favorite characters in all of pop culture.
Absolutely. And like I think that for me, when I'm talking about the then and the beginnings of Harley, I think that one of the things that people all can understand about her is they all understand the idea that like someone else can make you crazy. Like, and while and
how?
And I say that from like this point of like, I personally do not really care for Harley and the Joker's relationship. I like them better as individual characters, and I don't think I'm alone in that sense. However, like no one can deny that draw you have to someone who just makes you out of your mind. Like there's nothing that you can possibly do.
It's those dangerous attractions. But
the thing is it's not even necessarily an attraction. It's like you can have a friendship where all of a sudden you're doing things and you're just like, what am I doing? Like, I don't behave this way.
Getting tacos at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, I hate Taco Bell. Why am I eating it? Like, but
or you're committing like crimes.
Or you're committing crimes in Gotham City and blowing up buildings. Like, that's something else. Where you have like a very successful career in psychology. You are like you work at Arkham Asylum, the like biggest psych ward in your city. She had quite a career,
and then it always leaves you thinking afterwards, was this and it's a fictional character, so the writer,
but was this inevitable?
Was this always was this always inside of Harleen Quinzel, or was this something, would she have just continued to be a psychologist who examined these patients?
Right. But they also say like it takes a certain type of person to examine a certain type of person. So maybe it was always in her and it just happened to be the Joker that brought it out.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Intended to be a one-off character, I know we did cover it in a past in the top 10 Joker moments,
probably,
I believe.
Yeah,
I need to get a list of all of our podcasts.
Yeah, I know we're having like a podcast universe right now, and we don't even know the links.
But so what was that like first appearance like? In that she was gonna be a one-off character.
The thing is like, as someone who watched it as a child and watched it live, she was. I don't know how they intended it to only be a one-off character, because even as a kid, I took to her right away because she's fun. She presents this really awesome other side to the Joker where like you have all of a sudden the Joker's the serious one, because she's the one who's like, want to rev up your Harley? And like, like, see what I mean? I can't do the voice. She's calling him Mr. J and Puddin' and like all these like pet names that you would never apply to the Joker. And so she presents this entire other side where it's just
the Joker's the straight man. Like,
yes.
Where it's like, whoa, like he's getting business done, and
she's the one who's like, want to rev up your Harley? And like see what I mean? I can't do the voice. But like it was so cool to watch that happen, and even as a kid, you take to, she has a funny clown costume, she has a cute little voice, and like
she's got hyenas.
Yeah, she has pet hyenas and like all these fun things that of course you take to. And she, even when she's serious and she's going like nutso, like I also come back to, I loved the comic series Gotham City Sirens, and you have her dynamic with the women in that. But what happens when she thinks someone's like coming between her and Mr. J, or when she thinks the Joker has left her, like how easily she snaps and becomes this complete psychotic, like crazy person, like hell hath no fury. Like, like it's really relatable in like the most extreme way.
I
like,
can't wait to watch you become a supervillain now.
I know. Well, I mean, I think that's something why she's so popular, because I think that's something that even regardless as to whether or not we want to admit it, we all have triggers and we all have things that make us just lose it sometimes. Like whether that's like crying when you see something in particular in a movie, or like everyone can relate to like that hairline trigger that all of a sudden just you snap and then you're behaving completely differently. So I think that to me, that's Harley, is like that relatable element of wow. And then, because like with her and her ladies, like the way she is with Poison Ivy and Selena, like she snaps at Selena, she goes completely nuts all across Gotham, and then she comes back to their apartment and it's kind of like, hey, so I did a bunch of stuff. And like that to me is the most relatable part of her, is like,
and then she's got her girl gang to back her up.
Yeah. And like her girls are ride or die, like for lack of a better way of putting it. Like they are like, yeah, all right, I guess we're doing this now. Like, and I love that about her. Whereas like, yes, this is an extreme situation, but I think that's a relatable one, if that makes any sense at all.
Well, and it's also fun to see her relationship. I think for me with Ivy, when you're talking about like going back to the characters and their dynamic with Gotham City Sirens, there was a recent comic book series by Amy Chu, and it was Poison Ivy, The Cycle of Life and Death. And Catwoman, I don't believe featured in that one very heavily, but it was, I was going to call them Harvey. Harley and Ivy.
Is that their couple name? now that they're married in an else world?
Oh yeah, in Injustice too.
Yeah.
Well, they split up in that world as well, but they had been married. Comic books, guys, read Injustice too. But Poison Ivy, Cycle of Life and Death. That one was really cool because it's a lot of Harley and Ivy, but they are kind of the protagonists of that series, and those women are both brilliant doctors. And so somehow Harley gets the crazy cat back in the bag, and her Harleen Quinzel is still a secret identity.
Yeah.
And so she and Pam show up as their doctors' selves.
Yeah.
And so they are the sympathetic protagonists against some pretty nasty dudes. But it's really cool to see that there's that other side to her, but there's shades of gray with the sirens and especially Harley. Like,
I was going to say, have you read Gotham City Sirens?
I haven't
You should
read all of it.
totally read Gotham City Sirens. I think it's only like 20 issues, but
Only.
yeah, I mean, it's all in trade now. You can get it. But the same, I mean, they don't go out as doctors, but it's the same type of thing. Those women are the protagonists of that story. So the people who are the villains in it are not them. It's like, the Joker actually becomes a villain, but also Selena Kyle's crazy sister is a villain at one point. And like they have these really cool dynamics with each other that you just see kind of like the girl gang aspect and like the support that they have for each other. And I think that that's something that's really endearing about Harley herself is that she's the whole reason that the three of them get an apartment together, because Ivy and Catwoman don't get along. So Harley's the link between the two of them. They both love Harley. And I think that that's something to be said. It also harkens back to things like the point in the comics, and this happened later than the Gotham City Sirens, but the point in the comics where Harley is up against Black Canary and they're fighting in an alley, and then halfway through the fight, Harley figures out that Canary's pregnant and then refuses to fight her anymore. So it's things like that bring Harley back from the like rev up your Harley crazy hyena lady in love with Mr. J and like all that stuff, like that bring her back down to this relatable woman who just has been hurt.
Because there are so many villains where you think, okay, if they're going to get a solo comic book series, and I know that a lot of characters do bridge the line nowadays to like anti-hero who have their own skewed sense of justice. But
basically all the women that we just mentioned.
There are so many villains that you couldn't do a solo series for, because when they win, it's bad for everyone else and it hurts. But Harley, because of her past and the ways in which she has been hurt previously, she is someone who you do want to see win. And in a lot of modern comics, especially the Amanda Conner, Jimmy Palmiotti.
Oh my God, I love that
solo series. That's kind of like the quintessential nowadays.
I know.
Harley.
I mean, I would say anybody who's coming into comics now who is really loving Harley Quinn should definitely pick up that series.
Absolutely.
And having Harley be the point, the solo, the antagonist, it's her story, and she does some crazy things.
I was going to say, the way that she gets to her own little skewed like sense of justice sometimes is very funny. I mean, she's got like a taxidermized beaver friend now that kind of is like her Jiminy Cricket, but is like
a little bit
is like this creepy stuffed beaver. And so like there is still that funny, and like you remember that your protagonist is a little bit crazy, but you want to see her pull off a victory every now and then, which is fun. But I think that's where you get like Suicide Squad. Yeah,
and then when you come back to the origin of her, it all comes down to that. The reason we want to see her succeed is because we saw her hurt.
Yes.
We saw her vulnerable, and we saw her completely not be herself, and then we've watched her kind of gain that back. And then when she loses it again, it's like we come from a place of feeling sympathetic towards her. So I think that that's an important thing to mention going forward with Harley Quinn, because she is that person. Yeah.
So when they announced that they were doing Suicide Squad, and I know people have feelings about this movie, but I want to argue that like it was Harley Quinn's movie.
Oh, it was. They should have just made that a Harley Quinn movie, because she had the best emotional arc too out of everything. Like, you saw every moment of her like giving her trust to the Joker, losing like her faith in him. Like there was Margot Robbie just knocked it out of the park with that.
Oh yeah. And yeah, I mean her aesthetic kind of inspired the whole like the marketing for the film. I mean, because it was Harley Quinn featuring a few of her zany friends, like really, and that's why it's really exciting that they're talking about this
basically doing that
development basically with the development of the Birds of Prey film that is swirling in the news right now. And I don't want to get my hopes up about like, I mean, there's always news, but Margot Robbie had that incredible, like, it's one of those lightning in a bottle characters where it's like, could we really? Because the Joker has showed up in so many incarnations.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been in countless versions of, because you're like, oh, okay, another live action version of the Joker.
Yeah.
But like this was a big one. Could you take this incredible fan favorite character, and if she doesn't stick the landing in the live action universe, that's crazy. But I think they pulled it off with her, and
to me it was that moment where and there were lots of great Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn moments in Suicide Squad, in spite of everyone's feelings about the picture as a whole. Like Margot Robbie, to me, the moment where she was really, really Harley was the moment where she's like crying on the hood of a car, and then the rest of the squad comes out and she has to like put the face back on essentially.
She's
and
like, hey, like, how's it going?
And you
like,
realize that like her makeup is more than just like the clown makeup that she wears. It's like she's covering up an immense feeling of hurt because she was left by the Joker again. And this always happens. And like, you know, to me, it's just, again, I keep repeating myself on the fact that she's a vulnerable character that people can relate to because everyone knows how that feels.
Yeah.
And Margot Robbie, I think, just nail on the head, just hit it with the character. And she knew exactly how to portray vulnerability masked by humor and smarts.
And even those moments of like, is that a joke? Is she joking, or is she like being serious in the crazy thing? Like I love when she's like, oh, the voices are telling me to kill everyone in the prison yard. Oh no, just kidding. I'm just like, it's like, is she kidding? Yeah. But to have that character who, when we see her away from the Joker and see how that affects her, I think that's something that a lot of DC properties are exploring in alternate universes, which I think is cool because it's in those instances where you have a character whose past is so shaded by something else or that huge occurrence. What happens when you distance them from it? And so, I mean, the ones that I noted out, and we don't have to talk about all of them, but Injustice, DC Bombshells, and DC Superhero Girls are all depicting her as independent from the Joker. I mean, DC Superhero Girls doesn't even have the Joker in it because it couldn't. And so she's that fun, pranky, like, protagonist, and so it's fascinating to see that they're adapting that character for a younger audience, and she's a fun, supportive and caring person, and she does have her friends that she can go back to. And I mean, Poison Ivy's also in it, so they are friends and not mass murderers and supervillains.
What? They don't have mass murdering women for little girls?
But in the Injustice and DC Bombshells universes too, it's cool. Bombshells, since it's a period piece, is a little bit different, and the Joker is this weird metaphysical entity that has to deal with like it's hard to explain because he doesn't come until later. But Harley is still that fun-loving, but she has a shaded past, and she works with the other heroines to overcome that and be more than just the fool who has to put on a happy face for others. But I think the most interesting one is the Injustice universe, because she was with the Joker and the Joker gets killed, and then she has to gain the trust of the heroes because she wants to do something with her life now that she's away from him. And she did love him and she's affected by that. But she actually becomes a fully fledged member of the Justice League by the end of the Injustice universe. So it's cool because she still retains that craziness, especially in the universes where she has been touched by the Joker in some way. But that distance she puts when they take her away from that, it's cool to see what the character becomes.
You're honestly just describing more of the like same character, which is kind of crazy in itself, in and of itself, because she is that person, like somehow across Elseworlds and video games and her solo series, but they all keep to this basic character that has been hurt. And how she deals with her hurt is obviously different depending on like how in it she is with the Joker, but the thing is like she moves forward and she's constantly moving forward. And that's the most relatable thing that we could possibly say about her is like, no matter what, she's moving forward.
The most surprising thing I'm taking from this podcast is that Harley is a more relatable character than most people think. I mean, it's so easy to distance yourself with the like, okay, well, I'm not a killer and I don't have hyenas and I don't put makeup on my face like that every day.
I don't have a super dysfunctional relationship. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because most people just put her right next to the Joker.
Right.
And when you take her away from the Joker
and strip off that Harley Quinn facade, like,
you have like a woman who's a really good friend who had a bad relationship at one point, who, made a career for herself, but
doesn't always get it right. But she's still trying.
Yeah, she's moving forward. Like, I think that's the best thing we could possibly say about Harley Quinn is that she's that person. Mm-hmm. She's that person that that has had to reinvent herself for whatever reason.
And she's even leading the Suicide Squad in the comics, which is fun because that's a team of reformed villains, and or at least villains who are trying to do a little bit of good to make up for the bad stuff they've done. And so she is leading that team.
They couldn't ask for a better leader, honestly.
Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And no, I think the fan favoriteness of the character and the reason she's appeared in so many video games and comics and constantly everything, the Lego movies and stuff, like everything just attests to how fun and outlandish she is to put in your piece of media, but how many relatable themes you can get through in her character.
But I think it's interesting too to note that it's not even just like, because we keep talking about her and her relationship to other women and to the Joker, but it's not just that. The people who love Harley aren't just any sort of one particular group. It's across the board, because I think as humans we can all relate to rebuilding yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's what Harley's doing.
And they love her despite her flaws. They love her because of her flaws.
Yeah.
So get you a girl gang like Harley Quinn has. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was like, wow, I feel really proud to have like a Harley Quinn at my desk like right now. So if fans are looking to follow some of Harley's classic adventures, I would suggest start with Batman the Animated Series and go from there. You'd also want to pick up Mad Love, which is the first series that Harley ever appeared in, which was written by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm and art by Bruce Timm. So you're kind of going to want to start at the beginning. Mad Love is a fun read. It's 1 volume. It was a limited series, so you can pick that up very easily. And definitely watch all of Batman the Animated Series. If I haven't gone,
that's a good recommendation for life.
Just for life in general. Everyone should just watch all of Batman the Animated Series. If you're an Amazon Prime member, it's all on Prime Video for free. Just saying. And modern stuff.
Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti, anything with their names on it. I mean, that's kind of the quintessential modern Harley. There's you've got the roller derby version of her and like the kind of updated
with the pigtails
and the dip-dyed hair, which is what we see in Suicide Squad. If you're brave enough, do watch Suicide Squad. I mean, at least appreciate Margot Robbie's performance, because we're going to be seeing more of that. I think that's fantastic. And then, I mean, just look for DC Elseworlds types of stuff, because Harley's everywhere. I mean, like, she's everywhere. And fun fact that I wanted to get in before we leave, Tara Strong and Hynden Walsh are the voice actresses who do her voice in most of the stuff. And they are the voices of Raven and Starfire from Teen Titans.
Oh my God, you nerd. That's
Had
adorable.
To sneak a Teen Titans reference
Of course
in there,
you
but
did.
I think that's fun because they're definitely in the DC way with those characters.
Also, try to seek out that one video of Tara Strong and Mark Hamill doing the voices where they're talking to each other IRL as Joker and Harley.
Yes.
It's so good.
That's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, it's not hard to find Harley stuff, especially nowadays. So just do a little bit of digging, figure out which version of her you want to see, because it's all there and it's all pretty awesome.
Yeah. And when you strip her down to just these basic elements of Harley Quinn, they're all there in every form of media that you could possibly find with her in it. So that's pretty spectacular too. So you don't just have to look for a particular version you like, because the version you like is somewhere in whatever you're reading or watching. All right. So from her animated origins as Joker's best gal to breaking away and becoming an anti-hero all on her own, Harley Quinn has been a complex and comedic figure throughout her history. She may be a bit crazy, But even apart from the Joker, she shines with her own compassion and skewed sense of justice. Thank you so much for joining us today. That's Harley Quinn, Then and Now. For more ad-free pop culture news and content, visit geeksideshow.com. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to let your geek side show.